Today is April the 9th, Tuesday, and here's a look at the Ichimoku and what's going on overall in the market. We started the day with the McClellan oscillator having ticked up a little bit yesterday. It is surely going to come down today. It needed 617 not to change, 617 issues not to change, but if we look at the big number of issues, this is far more than the McClellan oscillator looks at. 70% of stocks declined today. So let's take a look at where we are overall. This is the S&P. Let's look at it on a 1-day. And we came down and we got support on the 8-day moving average. That's the 8 EMA. Let's look at it on the week. And so far this week, what we've been looking at is right in here. And let me open up. Is the Chiku span. And yesterday we saw the Chiku span getting support right up here at the top of the candle wick. Where did we finish? Right on the top of the candle, 26 weeks back. That is uncanny, really. That point also coincides with the 50-day simple moving average, daily moving average, put onto a weekly chart. So tomorrow's going to be big. Are we going to take this as support? Because this was staying up here yesterday was sort of weak support. This should call for more support. But we do have the possibility of running down all the way to here or to here. Today was affected by more tariff war news, this time with Europe. So naturally we saw all the industrials taking a hit. Let's move to Apple. And Apple started out like just a fantastic stock, doing everything that the market wasn't doing. Let's look on a daily chart here. 1 day. So we started, let's look at it on an hourly basis, 15 minutes. We saw, this is the, we saw price make its 15-minute high here and then proceed up to a level of 202.85. Very important level that we've been talking about for quite a while, for at least a week now, if not longer. Let's look at the 1 hour and where was that? It was the top of the gap. Let's look at the 1 day. It's more obvious there. So the top of the gap is exactly where we hit, and that gap is back from November of last year. This gap right here. We said that the bottom of the gap would be resistance. It wasn't. But today, the gap proved to be, the top of the gap proved to be resistance and almost support. So what's going to happen? Typically when Apple gets into a gap, it always rejects at the top of the gap. When I mean always, I mean like 95% of the time. And then it plays around in the zone. Let's look at Caterpillar and see what Caterpillar's done in its gap. And that gap is right here. And we can see the gap that was created right back here on February 24th. That would have been earnings, where it dropped to here, creating this gap. It started to try to fill the gap and then failed. Tried to fill the gap again, did fill the gap, then was rejected at the gap, came down today and found support near to the cloud. But the Chiku span has fallen below the candles, and now these candles are going to provide resistance for a break up. What Caterpillar is going to wait for is earnings. The earnings date I'll talk about tomorrow, I guess. And it's going to wait for news on relief of trade tariffs. The European bluster today about trade tariffs because of Airbus, just because Boeing is having problems with their 737. all of a sudden we feel like we have to retaliate against their Airbus business. Give me a break. Gold, we're looking at the weekly here, and just a little bit of a move up. So the market moved down, gold miners moved up. That's what we expect to see. WDC, of course, affected by tariff talks. Not good stuff. I think we're going to come down and test the cloud. Earnings on WDC is really important. Tomorrow, let's try to look at where earnings are coming up in relationship to the cloud.